Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I want to thank the panel for being here this afternoon and answering all of our questions. I might be towards the end of the line here in terms of questioning, and a lot of my questions have been asked and answered, but so I will just sort of focus on my agreement really with you that restructuring and consolidating is very important, and I think we all probably agree that creating a razor-sharp focus on STEM education in our country is very, very important to do. And I guess, my question, I think, is focused more around the pre-K through 12 education, understanding and believing that we need to engage our children at a very early age, and there needs to be coherence and relevance and rigor. We've talked about all those things here today in this hearing. I'm wondering if there has been any assessment or look at comparing what we are doing compared to other countries in the world. Certainly countries around the world don't necessarily have all of the same agencies and expertise that we do, but I think in terms of earlier education, we may lag behind. I think the President has already proposed that in terms of more pre-K education. But have we looked at best practices around the country? And clearly, I think Dr. Holdren mentioned at the beginning of the hearing that the achievement data shows that, we are certainly falling behind. And have we looked at also, have we looked to compare really our investment specifically into STEM education with other countries around the world, and how are we doing?
Thanks for the question and the comments. And I agree the importance of the early years in terms of both engagement and also a solid foundation in learning to set in place some open pathways for later choice is important. What I think I'd like to do with this question, though, is ask if we could get back to you with some details about at least what NSF has funded, if anything, by way of particular looks at comparisons with other countries' early childhood practices or preparation of teachers of early childhood years. I just would have to check the portfolio.
Any other responses?
I would have to check also to get back to you.
One of the things we do know about some of the other countries that we see when we look over our shoulder and ask who's gaining on us is an underscoring of a proposition we haven't really mentioned here, but it relates to the importance of the local in education, and particularly the importance not just of teachers and principals and school districts, but of parents. What we find in a lot of these countries, and I know President Obama talked about this when he came back from a visit to South Korea some time ago, when he was talking with the South Korean president about education, and the South Korean president said, "You're really lucky you don't have parents hounding you all the time to improve your STEM education system." The engagement of parents in helping to inspire and excite their kids about education in general and about STEM fields in particular is immensely important, and it's something that some other countries seem to have an edge on the United States in at this particular point. This is anecdotal, not systematic research, but it's an impression I've also gotten in my travels across some of these countries.
Thank you, and I would appreciate certainly the feedback. And I think, just to conclude, I really firmly believe that intelligence is something that can be learned. It's not a God-given gift that some children have it and others don't, and I think the investment piece of it I think is an important area to look at. And I also, as some of the other of my colleagues have mentioned around vocational education, I think is very important, but I tend to focus more around career technical education, because I do believe that in the earlier years with our children that we have to provide them with the rigor that they need to be able to choose what they want to do as time goes on. And certainly, I think, one of the benchmarks, if you will, for example, in mathematics is 8th grade algebra. And, can all of our children in our country really get to a place where they are ready and prepared to be successful in 8th grade algebra? And that's, a gatekeeper in terms of where kids tend to go. So that's not really in a form of a question, but I was, wondering the thinking around, for the committee on these, I think these early important investments in the earlier educational years.
So I think the fact that the first priority is about improving K through 12 instruction really does reflect the committee's sense that unless we are doing a really wonderful job there, that all of this later career focus and career opportunity really can't come to fruition. And so I think I can assure you that we have a strong interest in and focus on that level. Now we'll work through implementation and we'll figure out how to, within there, make the right focus, but it's quite important.
Thank you, and Mr. Chair, I'll yield the balance of my time.